This week, Apple held their second fall keynote event of the year, in the heart of Brooklyn, New York. And the real star of the show, with no offense to Lana Del Rey, who gave a surprise performance at the end, was the new iPad Pro. With its squared-off unibody design and thinner profile, it's one of the thinnest iPads ever made. And with the removal of the home button, Apple was able to extend the size of the display within the same size body of the device, extending the standard display size from 10.5 inches to 11 inches, and the 12.9 inch staying the same display size but reducing the overall body of the device, making it about the same size as an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And with the removal of the home button, Face ID was a must, and the best thing about it on the iPad is that you can use it in any orientation. But the most powerful thing about the new iPads is the new A12X Bionic processor. With a staggering 7-core GPU and 8-core CPU, which means that the graphics processing in the new iPad is even better than the Xbox One S console-grade graphics processing unit, which is pretty insane. This means that everything you do on the device, whether it be simplest functions to the most complex functions, will be as fluid as ever. And the A12X Bionic processor also brings with it the first neural engine in an iPad device, along with the capability to have up to 1 terabyte of storage. But probably the most shocking revelation of the new iPad was that Apple switched out the Lightning port for USB-C compatibility, which means that the new iPad can interface with several other peripherals such as digital cameras, external displays, or even your iPhone, to give it that extra bit of juice when you need it. And alongside the new iPad, Apple's releasing the next Apple Pencil, which is completely redesigned and has a magnetic attachment to the side of the iPad to store it as well as charge it wirelessly. And even with all these great new additions to the iPad, Apple isn't making us wait very long. You can order it starting today and get it next Thursday, November 7th. With storage options of 64, 256, 512, and 1 terabyte, in both the 11-inch and 12.9-inch configurations, starting at $799 and $999 respectively, alongside the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, which stays at $649. Apple also didn't hold back on some of their most sought-after device upgrades, including the MacBook Air, which hasn't been upgraded for quite a few years now. Got a complete redesign with a new Retina display and the addition of Touch ID, alongside upgrades to the keyboard, which brings the new butterfly mechanism, as well as the trackpad, which brings Force Touch trackpad for the first time to the MacBook Air. And as with all of the other MacBooks so far, gone are the other peripheral ports in favor of USB-C or Thunderbolt 3 in Apple's case. It comes configurable with Intel's latest 8th generation dual-core i5 processors, as well as up to 16GB of RAM, and up to 1.5 terabytes of storage. All in a chassis that takes up 17% less volume and is 10% thinner than the previous generation MacBook Air. It starts at $1199 and is also available starting today with a full release November 7th. Apple also brought long-awaited upgrades to the Mac Mini desktop, which keeps a similar design chassis, except this time in space gray, with a whole host of component upgrades including Intel's 8th generation quad-core and 6-core processors, with configurations up to 64GB of RAM and 2 terabytes of storage. Along with Apple's T2 security chip, and a new cooling system to help keep it all nice and running smoothly. This Mac is also getting a Thunderbolt 3 upgrade, but is surprisingly still keeping Ethernet, HDMI, and 2 USB-A ports along with a headphone jack. With all of these options, it'll be starting at $799, and also is available starting today for order, as well as a full release on November 7th. But Apple couldn't stop there, announcing that the MacBook Air and Mac Mini would both be assembled with 100% recycled aluminum, made from the leftovers of other device manufacturing processes from their other assembly lines. All in all, it was still quite the event, with many surprises despite all the leaks that we had beforehand, especially for the new iPad Pro. Let me know down below if you plan to get any of these new devices, such as the iPad Pro, the MacBook Air, or the new Mac Mini. I for sure am interested in the new iPad with the near bezel-less display, Face ID functionality, and the overall slimmer profile. And some of the early benchmarks from the A12X Bionic processor are showing performance on par with the new 13-inch MacBook Pro, which is just crazy. If you liked this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below and subscribe for more tech videos coming every week. Until next time, I'm SeanXTech. Thanks for watching. If you want to see my last video, click the annotation in the lower left. If you want to see more in the future and keep up to date with the channel, click the annotation in the bottom right to subscribe. I'm SeanXTech, and I hope to see you next time.